Titles are important, yes, Murray?
Yeah, you're holding guys back. Again, that to me might have been like the coldest one from Jerod Mayo. There was points in this thing that I heard him and I'm like, okay, I'm sure you're appreciative that you got drafted here and there's some level of appreciation for Bill Belichick, but you think he's a dick. Like, that's what that came off to me as. Like, you weren't giving people titles. You didn't give me a title. You probably held me back at one point when I maybe could have been a head coach earlier in my career because you refused to give real titles for whatever the hell reason. I think there's real resentment there.
Well, so from what these guys have been reporting, these guys meaning like Kern and Perry and the guys who've been on this from the start, Mayo turned down the defensive coordinator title this last go-around because then he'd be able to leave for a defensive coordinator promotion. In other words, if he took the DC title and he wanted to get the hell out of here, the only way out would be a head coach. If he wanted to get out of here and be a defensive coordinator, not taking the title last year would allow him to leave for a promotion and break his contract.
Gives him a little leverage.
So he actually wanted it the last go-around, according to the reporting, which I obviously believe. But still, way too much dicking around with titles here for 25 for a guy, Bill Belichick, and a team that claims they're not big on titles. Boy, were they obsessed with titles. And you knew it because they didn't give them out. If it's that important to you, why don't you just name the guy the OC or the DC or whatever? And so...
and he wasn't doing it because of either, giving up some power or the financial aspect to it. And both are.
Or both.
Right.
Crappy things to do.
It's also a way for Bill to keep people under his thumb.
Yeah.
Bill's big on that. Like, he's in charge. He's keeping you under his thumb. I'll tell you when you deserve the title.
So it's, again, there was a lot of that today where they're just veiled shots at Bill and how it was run. We're going to break down silos. We're going to be collaborative. We're going to break down walls. We're going to repair relationships. That whole thing, which I agree they need. They do. My concern is
to a point.
To a point. Someone still has to make the decision, and they have to have people there who are qualified. And the whole way they're carrying themselves and the whole message here is that we've got a really talented staff and Bill was holding us back. I think Bill was a problem at the end, but I never thought he had a talented staff anywhere. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out with that. To your calls, Sully in the car. Go ahead, Sully.
Yeah. So first off, I'm a fan of the Mayo hiring. I think he could bring a bit of an Antonio Pierce like edge to the locker room, players coach. But I just find it really interesting that he worked at Optum for a couple of years, and I Googled it, and his title was Vice President of Business Development. And I just find that interesting because Optum is one of the biggest advertisers to Gillette Stadium and the Patriots. And I just don't know, is that another side of complacency from ownership where their captains are going off to advertisers for a couple of years and then coming back to the coaching staff?
It's not a sign of complacency. It's a sign of, the Krafts sort of had him under their wing and in their vision, in their program from the start. I think that relationship with the Krafts and Optum was instrumental in Jerod going there. As part of his overall development, and I think it's just it's all part of a piece. It's not like he said, "I got to get away from football. I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to have success in business, and then I'm going to come back." It was sort of part of the same. It was just part of the same line. I'm not putting that into proper words.
Almost like they had him in a development program.
Yeah, and it was part of. And I know Mayo wanted to do it, and it was clear why he wanted to do it. Again, Kevin, can you tell me why Jerod Mayo wanted to go to Optum there for a couple of years?
I took a break. I went to Optum. I needed a break from Bill.
Okay, so the Krafts help him get that gig. He comes back. The Krafts help him. But here, so it's he didn't totally leave the family, is what I'm saying. That's not a good or a bad thing, but it's just in context. Ben in Connecticut. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, guys, my biggest takeaway today was that Mayo's worked Kraft like a fiddle for years, probably 5 to 15 years. And we saw a lot of evidence, big and small today with, some of the little anecdotes and pieces of information that dripped out. Start with that nickname.
Oh, God.
Kraft loves, flattery. He loves warming up to rappers and athletes and that crowd. And so to have a cool nickname from the big jock on campus, I'm sure is, a fun thing for him.
So, Ben, is this a problem?
Look, I think it's a credit to Mayo frankly, that he knew how to sort of manage Kraft this way.
Yep.
But I also,
I mean, you don't think
feel like-
Belichick? I mean, what sort of ass kissing do you think Belichick did? I mean, how did Belichick get the job in the first place, Ben? He went behind Parcells' back and sucked up to Kraft.
Bingo.
It's the way of the world, man.
yeah. Well, let me add one other thing,
Quick.
and that is that Mayo, in basically serving as a double agent here for the last year or two, I think was flattering another part of Kraft's kind of weakness, in giving him probably a lot of information about what was happening behind the scenes.
You bet. What do you think Belichick did in 1996?
Same deal.
What do you think? How do you think Belichick got the job?
Same deal. It happens like routinely in pro sports, in fact, I would say.
So why does this offend you, caller? Why are you agitated by that? How do you think most of these coaches get their jobs? They suck up. They suck up to the owners. Thundercat or whatever. Give me a break with that. I mean, I'm not into that crap either. But it is the way of the world. I mean, Belichick wasn't calling Kraft Thundercat in 97 or 96, but he was sucking up and throwing Parcells under the bus and playing to Robert's ego and his need for inside information. He was doing the exact same crap. And something tells me you, caller, don't have a problem with it. So what's your problem with Mayo?
How do you get noticed? Like, you've got to, you put a little extra.
Well,
Kiss
especially
your
Run up
ass.
the back stairs.
Yeah, right.
Especially when it's internal. That's how it usually goes.
Yeah, the owner needs eyes and ears in the locker room. So usually there's someone on the staff that does it.
That's not my issue. My issue is he's asked for his vision of offense, and he answers by ripping Mac Jones for being selfish or being a complainer. Like that, to me, that's the crux of the issue for me going forward.